Hola, hola, hola y bienvenidos a otro episodio de Listen, Read, Interact. Welcome to another episode of Listen, Read, Interact. This is episode number 54. My name is Andrew Snyder and I'm your host. I'm a Spanish language professor. If you don't know me, I've been teaching Spanish for a while now. I keep it a secret from my students because I don't want them to guess my real age. It's kind of a game that I like to play with them. ¿Cuántos años tengo yo? Una pregunta. And they'll be pretty good at guessing, actually, but I don't let them know that. No, I've been teaching Spanish for 15 years or so, and I really, really, really love teaching languages. In fact, whenever I can, if I teach another kind of class at the college where I teach, I like to sneak in a Portuguese lesson if possible. I love teaching languages, and especially languages to people who don't have much of a foundation. I always like to start episodes out by talking about language acquisition and how it is that we pick up language. The process is surprisingly simple, but I think it helps if you know how it is that your brain processes language. Then you can take the steps necessary to actually make the gains that you want to make. Get the language in your head that you want to have in your head. It's not magical, but the process is a little bit different than learning, conscious learning, where you try to learn rules and then apply those rules. It's not quite like that. There's nothing wrong with learning grammar rules. There's nothing wrong with learning pronunciation rules. It's not very practical in terms of actually using the language. And most people end up less than where they want to be. Most people do not achieve native-like proficiency because somewhere along the lines, they don't get enough internal processing. That's really what it comes down to. And so the way that it works is actually pretty amazing. Language is acoustic, meaning that it's sounds that are being made by a vocal tract, and those are transmitted via vibrations through the air. I mean, maybe you can get some through the water, but the vibrations don't carry so well through the water. The words are muddied by water. So through the air is typically how we do it. If you talk to someone in a pool, it might be more difficult. Since these vibrations go through the air, your ear has that outer ear part, and that outer ear picks up those vibrations and funnels them down to the inner ear, and it goes through a series of amplifications through some small bones in your inner ear. It goes through some sort of liquid with some little, or a fluid, I guess, with some hair. It's tiny, tiny hairs, and those hairs help transform that physical vibration in the air into electrical signals in the brain. So the brain does not hear physical vibrations. It reads electrical signals. It's like this connected network of neurons and electricity, really. And so your brain is reading these electrical signals. It understands electrical signals. It doesn't understand vibrations in the air. But what's really cool is that your brain takes the vibrations that are in the air and takes that converted signal, and it runs that against a dictionary, and it's looking for messages that are being communicated to you. So when your ear receives these physical vibrations in your brain, then it's transcribed or transposed or transformed into electrical signals. Your brain then takes those electrical signals and runs those against the dictionary. And if you have an entry in there, like if I say the word and, your brain hears that word and it runs it against the dictionary. And if it has an entry for it, it automatically says, okay, that's what that means. And you've interpreted it. Now, I can't tell you exactly how that happens. I don't know that we know exactly how that happens. Seems a little bit opaque, but that's what is happening. Your brain takes those electrical signals that it's gotten transmitted to it from the physical vibrations in the air, and your brain says, okay, I have an entry for that. I know what that means. And it's doing this very, very quickly. And it's trying to do this with entire chunks of language, phrases, sentences, things that are being communicated to us. And it's really looking for messages. This is really cool. It just is looking for messages. So the way that you train your brain to get better at any language is to hear messages in the language and be able to understand them. And that part is critical, because if your brain gets these sound waves and it turns them into electrical signals and then interprets those electrical signals from all the processes that are going on in your ear and all that, and it doesn't understand the message, it says, hey, that was not very useful to me. I have a lot going on right now. I'm trying to regulate breathing. I'm trying to regulate heart rate. I'm trying to regulate all this stuff, body temperature, and I have a lot going on. So if you don't have a message for me, then I'm going to take that information and filter it out as noise. And our brains are really good at filtering out information. It's really good at processing information, and one of its best tricks is to filter out useless information or background information, noise, things that are not essential for me right now. So the more messages that you can get in the language communicated to you, the better, because the more chances are that your brain will take that information, and when it does receive a message that it understands, then it doesn't filter it out necessarily. It might say, hey, that was useful. There was a message being communicated to me. Maybe that will be life-saving information. So your brain takes that and it starts to organize that information, that message. And if you don't have an entry in your dictionary, in your mental dictionary, your brain might make one for you. It says, hey, that was a message that was communicated. These vibrations through the air hit my ear. I transcribed them, transformed them into electrical signals. And when I got those electrical signals, there was a message that was communicated to me. Maybe it's useful. Let's try to hang on to that. Let's make an entry. Whenever I see something that looks like that electrical signal again, it's going to mean this, perhaps. That's what I call the mental model of the language. So when you are learning Spanish, for example, you will get these electrical signals in your brain that have been transformed from the air vibrations. And if you have entries in your mental dictionary, then great, it can try to process that and try to figure it out. And if it doesn't understand exactly what those electrical signals mean, it's not necessarily a problem if the message is clear. And so this has been described by Dr. Stephen Krashen as comprehensible input. When the message that is being communicated to you in the language is clear, now you might not understand every single word, but if the message is clear, then your brain will start to incorporate that as part of its mental model. Now, sometimes you got other stuff going on, you're distracted. We have this thing called the affective filter, which kind of filters out stuff. You know, you might be hungry, you might be tired, you might need to go to the bathroom. You might not be fully paying attention to what the message is. And so this can kind of filter out some of that too and prevent those messages from being communicated to us. So there's lots of things we can do. We can be comfortable. We can be focused on a message, the messages that we're receiving, and so forth. So the more messages you receive, the more messages you process internally, the more likely it is that you are going to acquire language. And that's the key, really. So processing many, 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 many messages in Spanish will get you way better at Spanish way faster. And you can study grammar rules if you want. I'm not mad. I sometimes teach explicitly grammar rules in class. And, you know, it's not a big deal, but I understand that use is limited, and so it is proportionally limited in my class. Better to process messages that are being communicated to you, and that is something that you need to keep in mind, both as a learner and as an instructor. The conscious learning of grammar rules, pronunciation rules, etc., has a place, but it's limited. If you're interested in talking more about this, especially if you are an instructor, I would love to come to your school. and talk to you about it more. I have a really good presentation that I can give your school called CI Immersion, which stands for Comprehensible Input Immersion, and it's the method that I use, the play-by-play for my classes at the college level, but they're very applicable also for high schools and middle schools, anyone who's trying to teach language. So if you're interested in that, you can hit me up at Andrew@readtospeak, all one word, Andrew@readtospeak.com, and I'd love to come to your school and talk to you more about it. Send me an email, and we'll figure out a way to make that happen. All right, so let's move on then to the Spanish portion of this show, because it is a Spanish language podcast, and today's episode is part 5 in a 6-part series for true beginners. Each episode is split up into 3 sections. There's a pre-reading and interaction section. There is a brief reading and interaction section. And there is a complete reading and interaction section. And on the show, you're going to hear some example sentences from part 1 that build into a short story in part 2. And really, that is a scaffold as well. It's going to help you build into the complete version of that story, which is in part 3. And you'll hear those examples on the podcast. You can also read along at listenreadinteract.com/54, since this is episode number 54. When you hear the bumper music, you will be moved on to the Spanish part of the show. And from there on out, I'm going to speak nothing but Spanish except for a little break in the middle, a new format that I'm trying in this episode. And then we'll move right on to the other parts of the show. And you'll hear a bell that will transition you from part 1 to part 2. And there'll be a little break between part 2 and part 3. But there'll be a bell on each of those as well. And you'll know you've transitioned to the next piece. You should know that each episode also has a show notes page, which I mentioned earlier, listenreadinteract.com/54. There's many more ways to interact with the language, and interaction is important because that is the piece that ensures that processing has taken place. We know that processing messages means acquisition of the language, and so you want to listen to the language. You also want to read it, because reading is a system that sits on top of listening, and so it kind of activates the same circuits in the brain. A lot of people hear their own voice when they read even. You can tell that just instinctually. They've done studies to prove it, but instinctually you can know it. When you hear your own voice play in your head, that is kind of evidence that you're activating the same systems as the auditory system. And so we want to listen, read, and interact. That's the name of the show. That's the basic way you can think about language acquisition. Listen, read, interact. And on the show notes page, there's a fantastic way to listen. Obviously, you can listen on your podcast player. You can listen on the show page as well. And you can read it because the example sentences are there. The short stories are there, along with glossaries that they're glossed texts. That means you can click on a word and it'll take you to the definition in English. You don't have to do too much dictionary using, hopefully. And the complete reading is there as well. So all of that's there, plus ways to interact with the texts that are part of today's show. All right, without further ado, let's move on to the Spanish part of the show. Vamos! Ok, perfecto, ya estamos en la parte número 1 y vamos a ver entonces los ejemplos para la parte 1 de este episodio. Y lo que debes hacer para esto es escuchar y tratar de entender, tratar de comprender las 10 oraciones, las 10 frases que vas a escuchar en español. Ok, escucha y trata de entender. Número 1. Yo vivo en una casa pequeña en el campo. Yo vivo en una casa pequeña en el campo. Yo vivo en una casa pequeña en el campo. 2. ¿Tú hablas más de un idioma? ¿Tú hablas más de un idioma? ¿Tú hablas más de un idioma? 3. Ella es baja, fea y muy lista. Ella es baja, fea y muy lista. Ella es baja, fea y muy lista. 4. Nosotros tenemos una hermana que se llama María. Nosotros tenemos una hermana que se llama María. Nosotros tenemos una hermana que se llama María. 5. Luisa y María no se llevan bien. Luisa y María no se llevan bien. Luisa y María no se llevan bien. 6. Ustedes hacen muchas pociones en la clase de ciencias. Ustedes hacen muchas pociones en la clase de ciencias. Ustedes hacen muchas pociones en la clase de ciencias. 7. Yo pongo sal y flores en la olla. Yo pongo sal y flores en la olla. Yo pongo sal y flores en la olla. 8. ¿Tú bebes café o té por la mañana? ¿Tú bebes café o té por la mañana? ¿Tú bebes café o té por la mañana? 9. Nos falta un ingrediente importante para la receta. 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 Y número 10. Luisa bebe la poción rápidamente. Luisa bebe la poción rápidamente. Pues bien, si vas a la página para este episodio, listenreadinteract.com/54, entonces puedes leer también los ejemplos y si haces clic en las oraciones, eso va a revelar las traducciones al inglés. Podrás leer en inglés también las frases, las oraciones, que son los ejemplos. Atención, estos ejemplos están en una cajita azul, ¿no? Ojo, estas oraciones están en una caja azul en la página. En la parte 1 hay otras maneras también de interactuar con el lenguaje, con el vocabulario. Hay un cuisecito, hay definiciones, hay una parte que es ordenar las palabras. Bueno, en fin, hay varias maneras de interactuar con el lenguaje, con el vocabulario. Y entonces, perfecto. Si tú entendiste, si comprendiste las oraciones, perfecto, ya estás preparado o preparada para la parte 2. Y la parte 2 es la que sigue ahora. Pues bien, ahora estamos en la parte 2. Y la parte 2 es una breve lectura. En esta parte vas a escuchar una historia, ¿no? Vas a escuchar una historia en español. Si quieres leer, si deseas leer el texto, también puedes, que está ahí en la parte 2, que dice Brief Reading and Interaction, la lectura breve e interacción. Y pues es una lectura bonita porque hay palabras en negritas que están también subrayadas. Las definiciones están ahí y puedes encontrar esta lectura en la página para este episodio en listenreadinteract.com/54, ya que este es el episodio número 54. Perfecto, vamos a escuchar. ¿Ves esa casa pequeña en las afueras de Montevideo? Esa es la casa donde vivo. Me llamo Luisa. Soy bruja. Lamentablemente, soy una mujer fea. También soy baja y muy lista. Como soy muy lista, hablo 3 idiomas. Hablo portugués porque soy brasileña. Hablo español porque vivo en Uruguay. También hablo inglés porque soy muy lista. Yo pienso que soy joven. Tengo 39 años. Probablemente conoces a mi hermana, María, quien es una mujer que estudia los fenómenos paranormales. Yo soy la gemela malvada de María. Si estoy siendo honesta, estoy muy celosa de mi hermana. Hasta que hay rumores de que yo le he puesto una maldición. Como soy bruja, hago y bebo muchas pociones. Hago pociones de rejuvenecimiento y las bebo con frecuencia. También hago pociones de maldición para dar a mis enemigos. Sobre todo, me gusta hacer pociones del poder. Hoy es la noche de brujas y estoy en la cocina. Estoy delante de una olla grande y hago una poción del poder. Estoy poniendo los ingredientes en la olla. Primero, pongo 3 onzas de tequila en la olla. Luego agarro unas flores y las pongo en la olla. Entonces pongo lágrimas y una pizca de sal en la olla. Entonces tengo un problema. No puedo terminar mi poción porque me falta un ingrediente importante. 3 gotas de sangre de oveja. Voy a una granja y compro una oveja. Regreso a mi casa y pongo la sangre de oveja en la olla. Tengo sed del poder. Me sirvo la poción y la bebo rápidamente. Lamentablemente, bebo demasiado y exploto. Resulta que usé 4 gotas de sangre de oveja. Pues bien, vamos a ver, por favor. Aquí hay 8 preguntas que son ciertas o falsas, que vamos a ver. Son 5 declaraciones y tienes que decidir si el mensaje es cierto o falso, ¿no? Entonces, cierto o falso. Puedes hallar estas preguntas, estas declaraciones en la página web listenreadinteract.com/54. 1. Y voy a leer cada uno 2 veces. Así que escucharás 2 veces cada declaración. 1. Luisa es baja, fea y mensa. Luisa es baja, fea y mensa. 2. Luisa es de la capital de la Argentina. Luisa es de la capital de la Argentina. 3. Luisa sabe bailar salsa porque toma clases en una escuela de baile. Luisa sabe bailar salsa porque toma clases en una escuela de baile. 4. Luisa habla 3 idiomas. Luisa habla 3 idiomas. 5. Luisa hace una poción porque tiene sed del poder. Luisa hace una poción porque tiene sed del poder. 6. Luisa tiene todos los ingredientes que necesita, excepto uno. Luisa tiene todos los ingredientes que necesita, excepto uno. 7. Luisa va a una farmacia y el boticario le trae una poción. Luisa va a una farmacia y el boticario le trae una poción. 8. Después de beber la poción, Luisa está muy enferma. Después de beber la poción, Luisa está muy enferma. Ok, perfecto. Con esto vamos a continuar a la parte 3. Si comprendiste, continúa a la parte 3. Si no comprendiste, está bien. Escucha otra vez la parte 2. Repite la parte 2. Necesitas entender. Hay más maneras de interactuar con el vocabulario en la página para este episodio, en la parte 2 también. Así que por favor, ve a la página listenreadinteract.com/54. Y con eso vamos a continuar a la parte 3, que es la que sigue a continuación. Just a brief pause, and then we'll be back with the Spanish language content. Listen, Read, Interact is a value for value show, so that means that we don't have any advertisements in our show, and we rely on listener support exclusively. So if you have been finding value in the show today and throughout many episodes, I would love it if you could support us with a monetary donation. You can do that at listenreadinteract.com/donate. listenreadinteract.com/donate. There's also a link in the episode description. Any amount, any frequency, $4 weekly sustaining donations are super, super useful. They help us get by when times are slow, and donating to the show is the best way that you can help us to make sure that quality, comprehensible, entertaining resources, listening, reading, and interacting are available for you and for your students if you're an instructor. So thank you again, listenreadinteract.com/donate. Thanks so much. Muchísimas, muchísimas gracias. Pues bien, ya llegamos a la parte 3 y vamos a escuchar ahora la versión completa de la historia de este episodio. Cerca de la ciudad de Montevideo hay una casa pequeña. En la casa vive una bruja llamada Luisa. Ella es una mujer fea. También es baja y muy lista. Luisa es relativamente joven. Tiene 39 años de edad. Probablemente usted conoce a su hermana, María, quien es una mujer brasileña que estudia los fenómenos paranormales. Luisa es la gemela malvada de María. Está muy celosa de su hermana y es posible que le haya puesto una maldición. Luisa es multilingüe. Habla 3 idiomas. Habla portugués porque es de Río de Janeiro, Brasil. Habla español porque vive en la capital de Uruguay. También habla inglés porque es muy lista. Y los listos hablamos inglés, caramba. Como es bruja, Luisa hace y bebe muchas pociones. Hace pociones de rejuvenecimiento y las bebe. También hace pociones de maldición para dar a sus enemigos. Sobre todo, a Luisa le gusta hacer pociones del poder. Hoy es la noche de brujas y Luisa está en la cocina. Está delante de una olla grande y hace una poción del poder. La bruja está poniendo los ingredientes en la olla. Primero, pone 3 onzas de tequila en la olla. Luego, agarra 5 pétalos de cempasúchil y los pone en la olla con el tequila. Entonces pone varias lágrimas y una pizca de sal en la olla. Luisa está a punto de terminar su poción cuando se da cuenta de que tiene un problema. Le falta un ingrediente importante. 3 gotas de sangre de oveja. Así que Luisa va a una granja a comprar una oveja. Ella compra una oveja y regresa a su casa. Entonces pone la sangre de oveja en la olla. Luisa se sirve la poción en un vaso y la bebe rápidamente. Lamentablemente, la poción es muy fuerte y Luisa bebe demasiado. Después de beber la poción, la bruja explota. Resulta que Luisa usó 4 gotas de sangre de oveja en vez de 3. Ok, perfecto. Muchas gracias. Eso es todo. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. You can go to the show notes page, listenreadinteract.com/54 for more information, for more details, more interactive exercises that will help you get better at Spanish. Tune in next week. Every episode comes out on Saturdays. Tune in next Saturday, for episode 55, which will be a completed series of these stories written for true beginners and the exercises that go along with that. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Tell your friends. Muchísimas gracias. Y hasta la próxima.